come to me having no clue what I'm doing. I haven't used OBS Studio in probably 5 6 years. Where I have like three. Need this many. Nobody needs this many screens. Nobody needs this many screens. I have them. Okay. I'm probably not going to stay on his shitty Instagram page for very long. Um, but this particular meme, I like this one. It's one of those ones that it's so. I'm gonna give him this one. This is so bad, it's actually good because he doesn't actually realize that he's insulting himself in it. Like literally nobody ever says the thing at the top. Like never, ever. That's not a thing that happens. It just isn't. It's just not a thing that happens. That's a thing he made up in his head. The little arguments he has in his head about when he always wins. But if he's comparing himself to the one at the bottom, why would he pick the Squidward that terrifies people? Like, why would he not make himself the handsome squid? Even in his own fantasies, he makes himself the ugly incel. It's just I don't know if he does it on purpose. If he were anyone else, I think he was doing it on purpose. But yet, never. You don't believe in God. Let me bless you with a party where you'll meet so many girls. Again, this is a thing that no human being would ever say. It just no human being would ever talk like this. But this one was just especially funny because he didn't seem to think of the idea that he was equating himself with the ugly Squidward instead of, I mean, at least Squidward has a job. I'd invite Squidward over Lucas to a party any day. But yeah, that was kind of the one that I just wanted to start with. And then most of them are just, he thinks this is, you know, he wanted to get that symbol tattooed on him at one point, which is pretty fucking funny. I don't think, first of all, tattoo with MRSA is no. But I don't think he'd be able to sit for a tattoo without screaming like a bitch unless he got it on his feet, which he can't feel. Hi to hi. I'm probably going to forget there's the chat window's like right to my left, and I'm probably going to forget that it's there because, yeah, it's live. I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no direction. I did not really plan this out. I'm just incredibly bored, and the dog has gone to bed. The cats have been fed. Bird is being quiet for the moment. And now that I've said that, he's probably going to start screaming. But I'll probably get away from his Instagram in a bit and just go over to the virtual Wern site because a lot of that is stuff that a lot of people haven't seen or taken the time to like scroll through because it's been gone for so long. What the fuck is this? These are just him stealing. He went through a period, I guess, where he couldn't think of his own stupid shit, so he just like steals screen caps from a. Jesus, scary. No, they don't. So this is where you can kind of figure out where Lucas's feminism is performative, if that wasn't obvious enough. Because right here he just assumes I am gesturing at the screen like y'all can see me, and I don't have a webcam enabled. But sure, why not? But he makes these really misogynistic assumptions, like in a classless society, women lack a place. Really, just women, huh? Really, only the women. So men still have a place in a classless society. Is that what you're saying? He How is he so bad at like virtue signaling? It's obvious when people are doing it, but it's the easiest thing to fake well, and he can't even do that. That's a depressing room he's in. I probably want to be nice for YouTube. I'll unalive myself if I had to live in that dreary enclosure that they put him in. Probably better than being homeless. No, no, hello, kitty. Yeah, whatever. I'm going over to virtual work. Cat, please do not. You're blocking my other screen. Hi. That's better. I've got one cat that whenever I start talking to anything, he likes to try to climb on me. So you're probably going to hear me talk to the cat a bit. Um, so this site that I have here is everything that I could find and that I found through others on Kiwi Farms of past websites that Lucas has had. There's probably some that are missing. There are some that were incomplete just because of how the Wayback Machine works. I really wish they had more archives of the blog that his mom was running for a while, because his mom was running a blog specifically to talk about her beautiful mentally ill son, Lucas. Um, but this is, yeah, Cat, what do you, stop that. But these are sites, most of them are between 2016 and 2019. The one where he has his political libertarian party that he tried to make, that one was from GeoCities, and I think it was from around like 2004 or 2005. I don't remember the date, and I don't honestly care enough to look through it. Probably not going to go through the older picture through the older daddy fact. Walter's gone through that a couple of times, and it's no different here. Cat, would you on the keyboard? But they don't make sense. Like, he asks questions that literally nobody has ever asked him, and then he makes answers that hey, then he makes answers that also don't, like, these. First of all, nobody talks to Lucas unless they have to, like in person, face to face. The people who interact with him are typically shelter workers and medical workers, people who are obliged to have to speak to him face to face because it's part of their job. Nobody asks him this. Trolls will ask him stuff like, "Well, aren't you also ageist?" And they know that he's going to get a reaction because he's dumb as shit, and he never realizes when he's being trolled. He's being trolled by so many people in his Instagram comments right now, and he thinks they're all his friends and are agreeing with him. He's just, Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah, this is just stupid. This is a flat out, like, where's my mouse cursor? Get back here. This right here, that's a complete lie. There are multiple screenshots of him on Facebook, in other versions of his older sites. Why am I pointing at the screen? Y'all cannot see me. But they're all over Kiwi Farms. They're in other parts of this site. There's screenshots from Facebook. He admits to having MRSA. He admits to having been in the hospital for MRSA, being treated for MRSA, being released from being treated for MRSA, explaining to potential girlfriends who were just catfish that no, you can't get MRSA from touching me. Well, you can if he has open sores, but he has MRSA. I mean, to be fair, everybody does have MRSA on their skin to some degree, but he has MRSA to the point where it will flare up and cause infections. He has been hospitalized for MRSA before. Fucker has MRSA, but he does. He just doesn't think people remember because he doesn't remember. Again, questions that nobody would ever ask him. Yes, it is kind of creepy. He didn't ever actually answer these ones. These are questions that he asked himself, but it was a like a stock image picture of an Asian dude squinting at something. Literally, nobody says nobody will date a fat guy. It's not that you're fat. It just isn't. It's not that you're fat. Everything in this part here is just wrong. It's going to go right past it. So then he gets through all these questions, and then he just does this question. And he's like, "Yeah, that'll be $5." Like, well, you dumb bitch. You just answered probably like $50 worth of questions for free. Why is anybody going to charge you $5 for? I'm just honestly, the "aren't you trolling" one is a question I could see somebody asking, because for a while before I actually started talking to him directly, and got in with a few accounts that he's known for, God, sometimes 4 or 5 years. I thought he was. I thought at first it was just like a really brilliantly done character, and that like he wasn't really like that, because if it was a character, this would be an amazing, like, perfect method acting bit of nonsense. But no, he's like this. He's actually worse than what he portrays in public, but it never occurs to him that the shit he says in private will be put on blast, and he thinks that when it is, people will believe him, because he's a man and because he's older. Those are his basic reasonings. He's not hot-headed. He has anger issues that stem from his mental illness. That's partially what the medications uh, deal with. Trolling is not really what the Nazis did, but okay. Um, sure, we'll just go ahead with the Nazis trolled Europe for a decade or so. So these parts are fun too, mostly because he ping pongs back and forth a lot on this. Um, when he's thinking that he's got somebody who's not white that he might have a chance with, and they're always catfish, or it's just some poor person that doesn't know who he is, didn't Google him, and feels bad for him because he's being bullied, he will go this route: the cultural appropriation, Black Lives Matter, everything about that. But there are screenshots, again, they're back on Kiwi Farms buried somewhere, of him and like DM conversations and things he's left on Facebook of him talking about how he would never date a black woman. And this came up after the one that he basically followed like a lost nice guy puppy dog to a subway after a BLM protest in Spokane. And she just ditched him. Um, he went from black women are beautiful goddesses to I would never want to date a black woman. They're too loud and obnoxious and aggressive. And it's like, not racist at all. And then that was about the time that he got into some yellow fever because the next catfish that came up. And I remember talking to him on an old account in DMs about the one that immediately followed Kiki. Her name probably wasn't even Kiki. That's probably just the fake name that she gave him to make him go away. But he was really into very specifically Korean women. And I remember talking to him in DMs with that, saying, hey, this girl that's in your comments and that you're telling me about, doesn't she put up any red flags for you, man? She's literally every one of your bullet points, like every single one. She's Asian. The picture of the girl that was sent is Thai, not Korean, but that's a red flag too. She is 18. She wants to have children. She's into older men. She likes heavier men. And she doesn't care that you're homeless and can't provide for her. And she likes to be submissive. That hits every one of the weird fetishy things you've put out, and that doesn't raise any red. He straight up told me that did not raise any red flags with him, that I was being negative. I was being pessimistic. This was for real. She told him she loved him. I'm like, well, did you get a video chat? Because he was on the video chat thing. Well, no, she said she can't because she lives with her parents, and if they caught her, they would be upset. Like, you again, this is not a red flag for you. And of course, it was a catfish. Even with the LA catfish, like that one, I legitimately thought was a dangerous thing to pull on him. He very easily could have gotten killed, and whoever set it up could have ended up in a lot of legal trouble if something had actually happened to Lucas over that one. And I tried to convince him for God, fucking weeks when he started talking to me about Mia. It's like, does this not seem a little too good to be true, dude? A 19-year-old millionaire in Los Angeles wants to fly you down and give you a job and take care of you, and you don't think that sounds suspicious? Absolutely not. She bought a plane ticket. Why would she spend like $100? Is a lot of money. Like, Lucas, this is a catfish. Please don't go. And he's, again, you're being negative. Stop being negative or I'll block you. Fine, I won't be negative. It's like, look, just be careful. Make sure you take some extra money. Make sure you have a way to get back so you don't get stranded. Of course, he didn't. And when the whole trying to make it look like a joke where they put the baby of it's not in the cards Werner in there, I'm like, dude, did you see that? And he's like, yeah, it's probably just a joke. I'm like, he is honestly, I don't even want to call it stupid because I don't think it's necessarily stupidity. He is so far sold on his own sick fantasy of wanting to impregnate a child that the concept of being catfish doesn't register to him. And he's like an anti-vaxxer. You can show him any evidence to the contrary that proves his opinion wrong, and he will just call it bullshit. It's not even delusion. It's delusion to a degree, but it's not, I guess, like a medically diagnosable delusion. On some level, he has to know they're all catfish, but he's so desperate at this point because he thinks he's done everything right. Yeah, Lucas is actually unblocked here. He could come into the chat if he wasn't such a fucking pussy. But he won't, and I'm not going to go bother him on Instagram about it because it would out my accounts, and I don't want to do that. But hey, if anyone else wants to go pester him on Instagram and tell him we're talking about him and he's welcome to join. Um, I'm not going to guest him because he's too stupid to set that shit up, and I don't have any of the easy ways to do that setup on here because I frankly don't want to talk to him. I would just fucking mute him the minute he started going off. Where were we? Oh, God. Daddy, daughter. if you miss the FetLife saga with Lucas, you need to go back in the thread on Kiwi Farms and you have to read through that one because that one was my fault. Him going to FetLife was the second time. The first time that was years before I knew him. The second time was my fault because I made the suggestion. This is horrible. I didn't think he'd do it, but I made the suggestion of like, hey, if you're into younger women, you could check out like FetLife. They have whole communities for older men who are into younger women and younger women who are into older men. But what you specifically want to avoid is the daddy down little girl thing because those are typically adults of similar age who are just role playing that one is being a little girl and the other is the older daddy. Or in some cases, you do get that there is a little bit of an age gap, but it's not the age gap you're looking for. So specifically told him to avoid that group. He beelined for that fucking group and got himself blacklisted from just about every Spokane and Olympia area fetish group that revolved around younger women in any way in less than like 3 days. He was so creepy. When you get smacked down by a dude who goes by Dildo Gaggins, that was amazing. There are some videos up on that too, but the Lucas FetLife saga that was unintentionally my fault. I legitimately did not think he would join the site. I can't remember if I had added him as a friend. I think I might have under one account, but it wasn't an account that had any real pictures of me. And most of the time when I don't, interact with him on social media publicly on any of my accounts, a couple of my accounts do interact with him publicly and a few of them don't. The ones that don't, I just like claim that I don't want Kiwi Farms coming after me. I mean, I don't, but I also don't want to have them figuring out who I am and then somebody being an ass and tipping Lucas off and then me losing the access to the lunacy. You hate cops, using drop slang. So slang is another one he goes back and forth on too. Um, he's not in slang mode right now. Right now, he's in an I'm using big boy words in hopes that you think I'm smart. But he goes through phases where all he will do is what he thinks is Gen Z slang, and it comes out as just kind of like gibberish. Um, it just kind of gives me the "how do you do, fellow kids" vibes. Um, but he'll ping pong back and forth between doing slang to try to attract the Zoomers who just laugh at him anyway, and this whole thing of well, slang is capitalism and not popular, and only sheeple use it. What's your problem is a legitimate question to ask him, but of course his answer doesn't make any sense. All right, then King Daddy Epstein. Even if he did manage to get someone, he would need tools to breed with them. Because I don't know if you've been unfortunate enough to see the pictures that he has sent to some of these catfish women, but maybe when he was slimmer, he might have been able to get the tip partially in. But at the weight he's at now, that thing's fully covered with a big old fat apron. So you'd have to lift that shit out of the way and have him like hold it there or tie it back or bungee it down or something. And even then, some of the pictures are him at full mast. And if I'm being nice tonight, I would say he is maybe 3 inches. Like maybe. He can cover the whole thing in his hand, and his hands are small. Um, it wouldn't fit. It just wouldn't fit. He would have to like shoot into a cup and then turkey baster her. And even then, he's mentioned that some of his meds have made him like either between impotent or infertile or one of the two, so he wouldn't be able to get it up anyway. Uh, yeah, oh, the Lucas FetLife, you have to go through. One of the playlists on my channel is a playlist of somebody who covered the FetLife saga at some point. It's one of the funniest things that he ever did. He's so saw it going a different way. He tried to portray himself as a victim of bullies, and everyone else is like, no, 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 no. We got young girls in this community. We keep shits like you away from them. You come out, you will be beaten. Anyway, what's my problem? Long distance. He's not in a long distance because he can't. So the reason he's not in a long distance is not for any of these reasons. So he did not move to whatever. He didn't move there because he wanted to. He got catfished there from Olympia. And then he got stranded because, like with the LA saga, he didn't think to bring any money or any means to get back to Olympia. So he decided, in the story he tells people, is that he didn't want to go back. He wanted to move there. He wanted the better climate. He wanted the better whatever. No, the bitch got catfished. And he can't afford to go back. And he probably wouldn't go back even if he could at this point, because by the time he did get catfished, he actually had been banned from just about every shelter in Olympia, so he would have had nowhere to stay. The tattoos thing is funny, mostly because he does want some tattoos, and he. So on two of the accounts that I talked to him on, I always call him out when he does shit like this. I'm like, well, do you mean me? Because you know I have like a fuck ton of tattoos and a lot of piercings. Is this what you think of me? Really? He's like, no, 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 not you. Your work is cool. It looks really great on you. I mean, I just mean like the ones who are like just the basic white girls. I'm like, no. Like you don't have to like tattoos, dude. You don't have to like piercings. That's a completely personal preference. But the rest of this is like, fuck off. You weren't unique either. You're just a well, you're unique in that you got the diabetic feet, I guess. Are you into friendships? Okay, so this is where we get into Lucas thinking that friendship equals friend zone like 100% of the time, but like most people in general, women or otherwise, are going to want to see if they work out with a potential partner as friends first. Because if you can't get along as friends, there's almost no chance that you're going to get along as partners or lovers unless it's just a casual, hookup sort of thing, which is what he doesn't want. I shower every day, lie. I wear clean clothes, lie. I practice good hygiene, lie. We have videos of you pissing all over a toilet, in your sink in your last apartment, not washing your hands after using the toilet, and licking deodorant. You are not hygienic. And you've also admitted several times in several videos that sometimes you go for weeks on end without showering or changing your clothes, so you probably stink. You don't exercise. You definitely don't eat right. I do have to give him hopeful and optimistic. I'd call it borderline delusional, but I'm kind, no, honest, nope, intelligent. He can spell intelligent. That's about as intelligent as he is. Let me blow up. Oh, then that's the Asian man with the squinting things. I love this. This is probably my favorite one here. I can't move the mouse and I'm not looking at the right screen. This is perfect. This is perfect just for the sheer lack of understanding of how trans woman would work. So if she had a working reproductive system would imply that this is a male to female trans person that he's talking about. Depending on the type of surgery and hormones she would have, she might still have a working reproductive system, but not the kind that would be able to carry a child at all. They haven't got that far yet. If she's she, then he's not talking about female to male, which some of those men do keep their reproductive organs and they are able to get pregnant and give birth. But Lucas wouldn't want to be dating a man in his view, and he certainly wouldn't be dating anyone that he would be calling she if they were also trans, but were a trans man. He gets that shit confused all the time. But anyway, this one always reminds me of just that scene from The Life of Brian with the guy that wants to have babies and gets asked where's he going to gestate the fetus in a box. Why is he an atheist? Because he's not stupid. Okay. There's so much long garbage on here. Every title. I think the worst pictures for this page. This is one of his first conversation rage Weebly ones. It's just a stupid list. It gets longer and longer and longer. Longer. His book ideas. Where is his stupid political? I didn't want to pay for good hosting, so I basically get one long ass page here. Somewhere in here is his stupid GeoCities libertarian octoplex thingam. All of his pictures are awful. It's just his face. I don't think I've ever seen a good picture of Lucas. It's not a good picture of Lucas. These are so long and they're so stupid. Old guys rule. Sure they do, Lucas. You're not even. He's not even old. He's middle. I mean, he looks old, but he's my age. Oh yeah, look at all that smooth. I love it when he uses the smoothing filters. I mean, the head slimming filters are good enough, but when he uses the smoothing filters, but like does it this badly, where like half his beard is all puby and the rest is like blurred into his face, and he just his titties are off camera, but he just blurs everything. He looks at that and goes, "Yeah, that looks good." Yeah, this was taken in a homeless shelter bathroom. Um, yeah, classy, 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 classy. This the guy in the background taking a piss. I would just stare at the wall and not move until the dude taking the selfie in the mirror left. Like, could you just imagine just trying to use a public bathroom or a shelter bathroom or anything, and somebody like this is in here making that face into the mirror and probably talking to himself? Like, I'm no, and like that fresh Gen Z out of high school ain't gonna talk to you any, unless it's to like mace you or tell you to go away. Oh, he's talking about Generation A. I'm gonna skip that. That's gross. They are still actual children, and he's already putting his sights on them. This face, I don't under. This is like his. He used to make this face a lot, and this was his supposed to be like heart-stoppingly enthralled with you face, and it doesn't. I can't really place what it looks like, but it doesn't look like that. It just looks like a someone who has a vague idea of humans and is trying. That's just mean. Don't be mean to the founders. They're shapeshifters. Listen, any of the founders would be able to shapeshift better than this. This is like what you get if they get stuck halfway through a shapeshift and then they can't finish. That's what you get. You mean to the that's the founders don't deserve that. Ugh. Aegis of Earth. Where's his fucking political party? How the fuck down is this? I don't think I've got to his mom's stupid blog post. And his mom definitely enabled a lot of his titties on the floor. That was from his first halfway house, and he was only there for like 6 months transitional, and then he got moved to the Pioneer Pathway where he got kicked out. But gotta love those titties mashed on the floor. Look at he actually got hair though. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. This was a host of charity picture. I don't remember the caption that went with it. He's all red and angry. And I don't know why this one is as funny as it is, but this particular picture is just because he's so uniformly red. It's just amazing. Nobody wants to put their cutie pie little fingers anywhere near you. But yeah, the trick is to get women as young as allowed by age to date him. No. Race is a factor. And this is where he thinks that just like randomly mixing race will make his kids even fitter on every level. It's like, okay, so you can take a poorly bred, purebred dog and another poorly bred, purebred dog of a different breed. You can make puppies, and they're still going to be shit puppies because they're going to have shit genetics coming from shit parents. Even if he managed to get somebody who was flawless in the way he wants, his genetics are a fucking nightmare. He would not produce stronger anything. He might get lucky in the roulette there, and the kid might get most of her genes and none of his failure. Uh, but no, there is no way he's producing decent children. He doesn't even have eyebrows in that picture. He's just really sunburned. I swear, if you start fighting over there, where is you aged milk? Oh, here's his mom's post. But yeah, this was the only page from that the Wayback Machine had, and it's basically kind of to one degree. I get it. Nobody wants to see their kid be the one that's excluded or bullied or whatever, but she enabled the fuck out of him. Anytime something bad happened, she'd take him out for ice cream or feed him or tell him he was perfect and it was everybody else's fault and that. Control. Yeah, here we go. The localist party. This was from like 2004 or 2005. I forget which. It was a GeoCities site. I'm pretty sure Lucas made this clip art himself. Beautiful. This is so. This was when Lucas was a libertarian socialist, basically just a libertarian, um, and he had some stupid ideas. Got an old email address that probably doesn't work. I don't really think he had any members. This might have been around the time that he was still calling himself the Wizard, according to that one roommate serial of his. Um, but yeah, it's got the Octalux 8 rules, essential of educating people. This was out of Olympia when he still lived there. But let's get down to cooperation, not competition. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty sure he stole most of this from most like socialist or progressive sites. Tribes, not hierarchy. That's a good one. How are you gonna? Clans grew to fiefdoms. Feudalism spawned off like monarchy. Global. Oh, he doesn't like globalization. He's one of those. So, what does he think all of these other things are? Like clans and they're groups of people that all have a similar either genetic background or an ethnic background, or they're. I mean, he takes his whole point out when he goes into to talk about tribes being the precursors to empires. And then when people realized imperialism was wrong, they walked away and recongregated to their previous tribes, which have always. No, they didn't. Okay, first of all, who has yet fully realized imperialism is wrong and gone back to a tribal society? I'm sure there's probably a few small groups that have done that, but that's not a thing that's happened. Um, so they call themselves the Lopa. Hmm. Truly believe it takes a village. Got a Hillary Clinton thing going there. Diplomacy, not a police state elsewhere in the world, blah, blah, blah. So, what does he plan to do? The Lopa wishes to learn from our mistakes by pulling out of other nations' homelands. So, basically, isolationist, which is fairly typical libertarian nonsense. The isolationist sort of xenophobic, fix our own shit before we start fixing everybody else's. Um, and then lift embargoes to lessen animosity, but he has no understanding of why any of those were put into place. He's very anti-NAFTA, which is probably because he just doesn't understand NAFTA. And he's probably already sterilized from all the meds he's taken. I can only hope. And the diabetes. Responsibility, not dictatorship. These are not. That's not. Those aren't opposite things. I mean, the other things are sort of opposites, like sustainability versus waste, equality versus prosperity. Responsibility, not dictatorship. This country needs a bill of responsibility to demand from the public full participation with equal burden. Good luck. I mean, I know there are some countries that do have compulsory voting and whatnot. That in the U.S. would be extraordinarily difficult to get implemented. To have the choice on all affairs, including but not limited to drug use, gambling, prostitution, safe, valid. I mean, that's not a horrible idea, but he has no idea how he would implement. And that's the thing with Lucas and all of his politics is he doesn't always have bad ideas. Like a lot of his ideas do line up with left or progressive ideals, but he goes from like step one, these are the ideals. Step four, everybody's happy. Like you have to dismantle the systems that are in place that are preventing these from happening first, and that's what he doesn't know how to do or how to think about. Or when people try to bring it up to him, he just thinks that they're making it overly complicated and that people should just chill. Like having, you can tell he doesn't hang out around people because he has no idea how people act. If you get some tweaker that is flipping out on people, you can't just tell them to chill or leave. They're not going to do either thing because they're high as fuck on something that's making them a little nuts. Um, he doesn't like the Patriot Act, doesn't like the National ID card, marriage license, parent license, parenting license, not very left wing. Yeah, having children is a responsibility, not a right. Someone should have told your mother that. Oh, fundamentalism, don't care. It's like libertarian socialism and not capitalism. Government should be small, minimal, possible. So libertarian. Just stop calling it libertarian socialism. It's just standard libertarian talking points right here. I don't think he knows. I think he figured if he put socialism in front of it, that he wouldn't get lumped in with the libertarians that tend to make compounds and declare themselves independent little countries. This was even before Zoomers. This was like back in 2005. So this was still while he was after millennials. And when the Libertarian Party had, I wouldn't say decent chances of doing anything, but they were a annoying force as basically an offshoot of the Republican Party. But if you add socialists to it, it's something different. Oh God, here's his manifesto. Yeah, he's just he doesn't know what he's talking about. Corporations at a larger rate. Carte blanche, sure. Carte blanche, why not? Point where they can purchase entire countries if they want to and override national constitutions on a whim and fancy of the company. Not really. I mean, typically, if you're going to take over a country that way, you bring in, the intelligence community of it, and you just quietly overthrow the government and put in your puppets. You don't just walk in and say, I'm buying this. I mean, I guess you could try. I mean, you could try to just like walk into another country or walk into the UN and just say, I'm buying France. It's mine now. Doesn't like the World Bank, doesn't like NAFTA, doesn't like the WTO, doesn't like the G8. So this is pretty standard right wing paranoia here. But he put socialist in front of it. So illusion economy is booming, right? He doesn't know what the Dow Jones or Nasdaq even are. I'm not going to disagree with him on Bush. That was not one of my favorites. Cat, you were blocking my screen. Hey, you're especially difficult to see through. You're a black cat. Practical slave labor is places like Mexico and Taiwan. Who does slave labor now? But I mean, that's a legitimate problem. Is the cheap outsourcing to other countries that don't have as stringent labor laws for employee safety and payment. But that your little libertarian party isn't going to fix that. There's more forces behind that kind of thing that you don't understand. Yeah, okay, the major two parties are corporate shills. I'll give them that one. I don't know why the punctuation got weird here. Third parties were the source of inspiration for new legislation. So not entirely. I mean, they were there, but they weren't. I mean, and then when you get into third parties recently, I'm gonna be old and blame Ross Perot for that because he legitimately had a chance in that election, and then he got cold feet and backed out and basically burned people on ever wanting to trust a third party again. That dumb fucker backed out at the last possible minute. Um, it's not to say he would have won; he may not have, but the fact that he got as close as he did, and then was just like, "Nah, I don't want to do this anymore," left a really. I don't know if you're old how many of you are old enough to remember that, but for a lot of people, it left a really bad taste for third parties in general. Not just for Ross Perot, but just for third parties. So you vote for a guy or gal, but we're brainwashed. What is he rambling about here? This is a manifesto. Oh, he doesn't like unions. So this was back before he was. So no, he's very pro-union now. I wonder if he would care to explain this. Unions are too large. They don't stick around. They don't normally organize on a large scale to begin with. Bitch, they don't? Okay, that's objectively wrong, but they do. With other unions and co-op form a political, but it's not how that works. So he knows what the IWW is, the Wobblies, which I'm a member of. At its height had 200. No, no. That's not a correct number. I wonder if Google can answer that question for me on my phone so I don't have to move my mouse and drop too much. It probably can't, but we'll try. Hey Google, how many members does the International Workers of the World have? Probably doesn't know. Yes, you do. It's on the screen. I know that it's socialist. Thank you. So they have roughly. Shut up. Hey, we're done talking. Tells me she doesn't know the answer and puts the answer on the damn screen for me. So they currently have roughly around 10,000 members, but that's just the Wikipedia. I should actually check their actual site for more membership thing there. But still, it's a hell of a lot more than 1,200. Maybe in 2005 it was 1,200. This is a manifesto that makes no sense. Like I could sit here and read through this, and it wouldn't make any difference. It would waste everybody's time. He does get towards the end of it into bitching about Jesus. I don't know why, but yeah, we're back to Marx, feudalism, blah blah. Where's the yeah? The thing that stuck out to me in his weird manifesto here is look at both. He spelled it wrong. Look at violence in America. We are a nation riddled with past and present extreme cruelty and violence. Imagine if we stopped playing with guns like children. You shouldn't be letting your children play with guns, but okay. Imagine a workers' party has nominated a candidate for president. No, Greens of Europe resembling like this is just like he puts a C in it. Yeah, 2005. Cool. So yeah, this is not part of his manifesto, but this he put this part on a page for this political party, this libertarian socialist party, and he started it off with a misspelling. Christianity is fouled up and always has been, always will be. Why? Because we're basically getting secondhand knowledge. God is busy. Leave a message with the so this like has nothing to do with anything that's going on with his political party, but he put this on the political party site, and I never was able to figure out why. It's just broken up little sentences. Christianity isn't funny. It's not fun. It's called gospel, but it ain't the truth. That physically hurt me to say. I'm gonna send him a bill for that. You know, he's got a cash app. I should just send him a bill. I guess I'd have to make something that doesn't have my actual name on it. Jesus was like, no man, really, this I believe, but he was just a. Jesus was like, no man, really, this I believe, but how he was still just a man. So was he not a man or was he a man? He acts like an erotic dancer. Okay. This might be a good time to point out that in two of the three accounts that Lucas talks to me on, that he's known for several years, he has expressed interest in curiosity in men. And I remember asking him because those two accounts are the supportive friend accounts, you know, the mom friend accounts that want to see him succeed and all that fun garbage. Um, but I asked him why he doesn't experiment because he went on this whole tangent about how he's always been curious about men and always interested in men and didn't know what to do about it. And I said, well, why don't you? I mean, why not? You're an adult. Why don't you just experiment with it? You know, you could get on something like Grinder. Oh, that would be horrible. But you know, you could experiment with it. Just maybe hang out with some guys, see if you hit it off. And his answer was that he didn't want to do that because he was desperately afraid of being seen as gay. He was not as bi, not as anything like that. He desperately was afraid of being seen as gay, which probably tells me that growing up in high school and probably in his 20s, that he was probably called a faggot a lot. And I mean, that on some level sucks. You know, nobody should feel that bad about their sexuality and feel like they have to hide it to the point that they ruin their mental health. But I would not call Lucas heterosexual because he has told me otherwise, that he is at the very least bi-curious. Um, it's never going to happen because, like, you know, men look at Lucas and just kind of have a ew, no reaction to it. I spelled androgynous wrong. Spelled androgynous wrong twice. Oh, his Messiah would be more respectful of his mother instead of calling her woman. That just seems like a rude hot dogger to me. Look, Ma, no hands, no blood in the circulatory system either. I'm a real hero? All the women that control the earth, they say no, they mean no, just like Jesus. Women were more submissive in those days. Um, he's confusing social norms with biblical stories, but yeah, exactly. Better to be seen as gay than as a hell do they call themselves? Maps? Minor attracted persons, pedophiles. They're pedophiles. But yeah, I can't imagine why he would think being seen as gay or even as bi would be worse than being seen as someone who targets teenage girls or younger. I mean, if I had to pick between the two, if someone was gonna label me with something, I'd go with the gay one. what is he, Condi Rice, more, well, I mean, it didn't take much to be more influential than Bush. He was way in over his head. A woman merely has to exist to be more powerful than a man. Virtue signaling. Yeah, like this is just so much stupid rambling, and this is his political party. This was one I actually did a read on this one already. This was his more recent idea for things. I'm probably not going to go into this one too much. But it's still one of the funniest things he's ever read. If he were a comedian, like a legit comedian, this would be. I would consider this a good read for that part because it is so bad. Um, I mean, just you can't be raped unless you sign a waiver allowing people to hunt you to rape you. War is illegal unless the Federation of Planets attacks. The United Federation of Planets is based on Earth. Who from the Federation is going to be attacking Earth? Nobody from the Fed. I mean, you maybe get an angry Klingon in, possibly some Romulans. I know the Breen were here at one point under the Dominion and blew San Francisco to pieces. Is that what he's thinking is going to happen? And even if it did, I mean, you can make war illegal on your own planet. That's fine. Go ahead. That's your planet. An outside force is not obliged to listen to that. It just murder and violence illegal unless everyone involved signed a digital waiver. Yeah, I'll sign the waiver for you to murder me. Like, what kind of crackhead thinks this thing up? Getting rid of the assembly is illegal. But yeah, this one I did a read through of it before, and it's honestly funny. I mean, I'll give him that. He didn't mean the best part is he didn't mean for this to be. He meant for this to be serious because I asked him about it a couple times. Like, is this real or is this like a joke paper? And he got mad that I thought it was a joke. This is a serious thing that he made, and he sincerely believed at the time that it would work. If only, if only people would listen to him. But yeah, it's long and stupid and oh, got him to this part. Let's look at some pictures. Big old pasty titty out, pouring cheap beer. Oh, hey, look, it's one of those admissions that he's a hey, don't scroll. Here you are. Yeah, look at that, right fucking there. That's still on his Facebook page if he has you friended, you can find it with that URL. I am actually just a closet pedophile who's consistently avoiding the act. It's painful. I deserve much worse. He is a moment non-offending pedophile by his own admission. He'll claim that's fake. If you send him the address and have him go look at his own page, he will claim that one of his ex-friends posted it up there. It's like, then why don't you delete it, you stupid fuck? Feeble-minded fool. Yeah, he is an unstable feeble-minded fool. Oh, this one Walter put up once too. And no, grease stain on the wall behind his head. It is not baby making time yet. It will never be. And this one is somehow worse because he's holding that meat. And I don't know what that is, but it is not exciting or enticing looking. I do not want to make a baby with you. I mean, I can't. I'm the wrong sex. But just what is that? Oh, that Wallstein was so awful, and he never tried to. Like, I get that when you move into like those little shithole Section 8 type apartments, that some of them are not in the greatest condition. That's just how it works. But clean it the best you can. That was not so deep into the wall that he couldn't have taken a few good rounds of some good soap and some good scrubbing and got that clean. That was just nasty. Here we got classy drinking cheap brandy. Here's what it would look like on a date with Lucas. Imagine that sitting across the table from you. Doesn't that just make you want to run away and keep running until he's out of breath and can't chase you any further? He thinks that's a seductive face, by the way. That's his seductive smile. It's a hey, I gotta Then these where he was trying to be a badass, the be cruel to me and I'm going to be cruel to you, buddy. What do you control? Lucas trying to be cruel to anybody is kind of like, if you see like a little chihuahua that's like losing its shit at something, it's kind of like that. This was just a scary accidental screen cap I caught while I was editing a video, and I just kept it there. Lucas chewing his food. This was the one that happened just before he got bounced from his last place. Basically saying he was going to sit there until they started bringing those young chicks up and say, "You give me one of them, and I won't report you for drug use." He was basically waiting there to see if he could grab a woman to take back to his little fart box apartment and rape. Shut your mouth. He got mad. He got mad at me about that one too. He didn't respond to it, but he bitches about Clickitat in DMs with me on a couple other accounts. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's such a dick. Hi, kitty. Please don't step on the keyboard. What is this one? That's tiny. Oh, the YouTuber that stranded me. I was like, he tried to blame me. Like, I understand that. Okay, I'm not going to blame him for trying to blame me. It is a fairly likely suspect, but also I wouldn't spend $100 on Lucas. Let's see. Yeah, low bar Lucas. How many of these do I have in here? The site like let me add additional photos to it at one point. Oh, this is one of the ones where, yeah, here we go. Today I blackmailed all my neighbors for sex in hopes of marriage one day. I don't give a fuck, and he got kicked out because they went to management like they should have. Even if they were dealing, he basically said, "I will report you for dealing if you don't give me somebody to rape," and then he still thinks he's not the bad guy here. So yeah, and he still doesn't think he did anything wrong. This one's from the conversation with the catfish Mia when he started yelling about the bigotry getting out of hand. And now we're back to titty beer. I'm glad that's over. I don't know why that titty beer is there. That's my mouse cursor because of the cat. There we go. Yeah, then I put a couple of videos in there. Here's the one where he's going into the. I'm sure most of you have seen this one. It's the main one on my page. The DMs from someone that he knew was 17, he knew was still in high school, and still tried to convince her that 17 was legal. And she actually came into the comments of that video to say, "Hey, I never agreed to hook up with you. I agreed to have a burger with you, and that's not happening now because he had commented before she did, saying that they were planning to hook up." So he was all ready in March 2020 to lure a 17-year-old out and try to rape her. But he still doesn't think he's done anything wrong. And these are the usual ones where him just not understanding age of consent laws, the blackmail for sex one. If you have not watched the playlist of the dating profiles that I have for Lucas, you definitely need to watch those. Some of them are just silly, and a few of them are women that he sent voice DMs to on Instagram. They gave permission to play them back. The one with, I think her name was Sky. I wonder if this is, I'm not going to play it because I'll probably fuck up the sound. But the one with Sky where she holds the phone up to another camera to record this, the faces that that woman makes are brilliant. Those are totally worth watching. And then the one with Tiffy Baby, the catfish who called him when he was in the shrinky intakey place, and said, "Oh, you can come live with me. I have a house and blah blah blah." And I remember he mentioned that to two of my accounts there too. And I said, "Does that not sound too good to be true? Did you talk to her? Did she text you? Did she give you an address? Did she say like when she's gonna come pick you up? Did you have a video chat? Did you like have anything?" And he's like, "No, no, but she said she would help me. I do have a Discord, but I don't really have a channel in it. I'm just in Dragnut's Discord, and I think I'm still in the Outcast Owls one. But I don't often do that much in that one. I post a lot of pictures of my pet, but and occasionally just like chat in the Tard Yard room in the one server because there's a lot of people that are. Some of them actually make Lucas look a little better. And some of them are just standard white trash that have a platform. This video is like 20. If you haven't watched this video, this is also a good one to watch. It starts off kind of slow, but then he gets to the point where he's like sobbing in the park and screaming on the street about how nobody will save his life from suicide, and if you don't hop on his little 3-incher, that you will be contributing to his suicide, and it'll be your fault that he kills himself. Like that's not totally manipulative or abusive or anything. I don't normally use this as a two-screen setup. I usually have the big screen in front of my laptop and my laptop closed. I'm not used to having to move my mouse between things. Oh, that's just a playlist thing. I need to actually update this because there are like 1,000 more pages here. But then we've got links to his 2 channels, his email that he still uses this email, and he published it himself and he gives it out on himself. So I have no problems putting it here. But I'm not going to show a lot of the DMs that I talk with him on because he would instantly figure out who I am and that would ruin the fun. But there's so much, like when he was in LA, to all 3 of them, he was, he was acting really, this isn't so bad. I mean, it's warm here. Skid Row is great. The people are nice. There's so many Mexicans and so much Mexican food. But in DMs with like all 3 of my accounts and with a couple accounts of people that I know are also just like pretending that they're women that are friends with him, he was fucking terrified. Like he was like sobbing borderline all the time. He was like nearly pissing himself. He was certain he was going to die. He didn't know what was going to happen, how he was going to get back. And I was like, hey, can you contact your parents, like your mom, your stepdad, your dad, anyone? Can you contact your payee? And the payee's like, no, we're not giving you money for this, which was great. And the thing is, the thing with Lucas is he's a piece of shit, but I don't necessarily want him to get killed because that stops the fun. Um, and also because if you are in anything on like that peripherally, if they start investigating a death like that, you can find yourself in a little bit of hot water if it comes back to finding out that you had hands in getting him lured to a place that got him killed. So not really a good idea to lure Lucas into places that could very easily get him killed. But his stepdad messaged me on Facebook and thought I was Lucas for some reason because people have been posting some of my videos of Lucas under their things like saying, "Hey, come and collect your retard son." And Larry, I think was his name, he messaged me and he's like, "Lucas, what's going on? Call me." And I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm not Lucas. This is the last phone number I have for him." He posted it publicly on his Instagram page. And gave him a quick rundown of what happened with the LA thing. And he didn't respond to me, but he did call Lucas because that's how Lucas got set up in a Motel 6 for a couple days. And then Lucas almost immediately had a meltdown because his parents or step parents wouldn't put him up in a motel room for longer or wouldn't buy him a house or wouldn't let him come home. So he's just an ungrateful piece of shit. Like, even when people try to help him, they never give him enough. He's just a greedy, hairy little butt. Um, it would be kind of funny to see him get catfish somewhere else again, but that I don't think it's going to happen. I think the catfish to LA one thing scared him enough that he might fall for local catfish now, but I don't think he's ever going to fall for one that's going to try to lure him outside of Spokane. But yeah, seeing him crying in underpasses was great. Seeing him crying in the woods was great. When he had his old apartment, hearing him cry in the dark was great because you can't find my girl. It's like, because she doesn't exist. You're never gonna find her. Maybe we could all like do a pool for him, design him like a real doll, like not one of the really high end ones, but one of the ones that's just like 3 or 4 grand. Design her to be a little Asian doll with big old titties, and just buy her an outfit or two and ship it to the mail-in place, and he can have his little girl that'll do anything that she wants. If she's made of silicone, he's gonna have to clean her. But hello, kitty. Actually, that's disgusting. Could you imagine being a roommate with him and he has a real doll? Oh. Just could you imagine being a roommate with him? And have you seen the? Oh God, the room that he's in is just depressing. Get your butt out of my screen. Don't step on the keyboard, please. What do we got here? Can't fix blah blah blah. I don't even know what that is. But he had a few in here. Women aren't the reason you can't get laid, is because you go to the. So at some point this week, he was obviously reading from pickup artists again. I'm not even going to entertain that. That's just bullshit. Pickup artists are trash. But he had some pictures recently. And I'm scrolling through these here because I don't have my actual Instagram icon off the top, and it's one of the main accounts I talk to him on. And I don't want him seeing that icon and figuring out who I am. So I'm just going to have to clicky click through these. No, we could not elaborate on that, Lucas. And like all these comments, like he doesn't understand that people are trolling him. This motherfucker named Lucas Warner will kick your fuck split ass. What is a fuck split ass? 8 days a week because it's in the title. He'll beat you at a board game, guys. Y'all be intimidated or turned on, depending on your gender. What is that face he's making? Like, why does he make these faces? Like, who is finding these faces attractive? Like from Lucas. I stole that one somewhere. Again with the faces. What are these faces? And this one is especially dumb. This one was up on the farms too. I actually kind of want to buy him the big catfish body pillow from Bass Pro Shops, but I forget what his room number at Malin Place is, and I would definitely have to like set it up with a fake address to send it. But I would love. It's like $24. A little high to spend on Lucas, but hilarious to know that even if he didn't show it on camera, he would be pissed about it. But yeah, Bass Pro Shops has like a 24-inch long, maybe it's a 36. It's a kid's body pillow of a catfish that I am extremely tempted to send it to him. But if I asked him for his address, um, and I sent him that, then he would probably know who I was, and we don't want that. That takes the fun away. But any one of you could send him to him. Hate that face. Hate that face too. It's not Lucas. Yeah, I don't think fascism and fat shaming has anything to do with why a really fit, beautiful woman doesn't want you. Typically, people who are in really good shape tend to also want to be with people who are at least taking care of themselves. Like maybe they don't have to be at the same level, but you're not going to find a perfect 10 yoga instructor that's going to even give you a second glance, even if you had a good personality, because you're not going to fit her lifestyle. And yeah, it doesn't work like that. You fat troglodyte. But it's no, it's bigotry. It's bigotry. It's always bigotry. Always bigotry. He's had a few in this mess here today that show his depressing ass room. I mean, the room is depressing in general, but this one again doesn't make sense. Women are the inside out versions of men, and men are the outside in versions of women. If they were hand puppets, we men are teacups. What the You want to objectify? You want to objectify women? We can both play that game, my mans. Get your cake up, teacup. What does that mean? What? It doesn't mean anything. Oh, he's making that dick goes here face. Oh, and he's explaining one of his games again. No, fuck that. So this game is basically like 52 pickup with a couple extra rules. Rolling crash. Don't care. Don't care. Oh, we got to the end here. Yeah, videos. We're not doing videos of Lucas's games. But he had a few of these earlier that actually showed his room, and they're so depressing. Just ugh. Like, why would you even want to show that? It's I mean, that's pretty depressing to begin with, but that looks like it's at least somewhat of a communal area. But no, it's just bad. Like I get nursing homes aren't exactly the most well decorated places, but that place is like the personification of depression or whatever. Kind of the end of there. And there's a ton of stuff on here, but a lot of his pages, we actually go through them again. The Conversation Rage site was up for several years, um, and it had a few times that he kind of edited it and re-edited it. Uh, let's see. I don't want to be logged in on my other account on YouTube, but yeah, the shorts videos aren't so. The Jessica video is an interesting thing, and I don't want to be too curious about the Jessica thing because he'll think I read Kiwi Farms, and I don't know what is Kiwi Farms. Oh, they seem like a terrible site that bullies people. I would never go there. Whenever he brings up Walter Fate, I'm like, oh, I don't know. He just kind of puts me to sleep. My God, you're so damn stupid. But yeah, he just and it's one of those things that even if he had bothered to like show up in a chat tonight, and he probably has some kind of like weird curfew thing going on, but he either would have been too much of a pussy to say anything, which no surprise, or he would have just started yelling like slurs over and over and over again, which got him. I think that got him kicked out of the last Geek Room one, as he just started yelling slurs over and over again. Um, and he got muted with the Outcast Owls. I was like, how could he not? I, I, I never understand how he can't understand that people are making fun of him. Like, and they're not even trying to be subtle about it. Like anytime I talk to him in any DMs and I'm making fun of him, I'm being subtle enough about it that he's not going to get it. But the people who leave comments publicly on his Instagram posts are so blatantly just like making fun of him, and he thinks they're agreeing with him. It's just ridiculous. It's like if it were anyone else, I'd feel bad for him because they're clearly making fun of the special ed kid. But Jesus, yeah, when he spit at his phone. He used to have a Chromebook that he asked me about. If he was like, "Hey, the keys don't work. I spilled something on it." Like, yeah, you probably need to get a new Chromebook. Yeah, facts and logic that Lucas just made up. You know what's funny about that though is Lucas has never actually spoken to me directly. He hasn't. He messaged me once on Instagram to just tell me that his parents were millionaires and I was a bitch, and that was it. And then he blocked me. Um, he comes into the comments here and he leaves comments on videos, but he never actually responds to most of them. He just like he's a hit and run, and he has never spoken to me directly. I know a few um, Golden USB offered to set him up with me and Jeremiah and one of the other people that did that, and he backed out last minute because he was well, he claimed he couldn't get Discord working, but also that he was afraid to talk to me. A couple other places have offered, like, hey, if we can get Lucas on to talk to you, do you want to join? I'm like, hell yeah! I think it was Outcast Owls that offered that. And I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to the fucker, but you can't let him talk over me. If he starts talking over people and being a general asshole, mute the fucker. But I know exactly what would happen if Lucas decided to agree to that. He would start to rage, have a temper tantrum, disconnect, and wander off because he can't take anyone not agreeing with him. And obviously, he doesn't like me. I'll give him that. I haven't given him much of a reason to like me. But yeah, no, he is basically too scared to do it. It's the same reason he won't talk to Drag. Um, he he'll talk to Drag not directly to him, but he'll post like shit comments, and he'll post like Instagram occasionally about it. But he knows he's out of his depth there. Drag studies the shit that Lucas pretends to study, And when reality from someone educated doesn't match up with what Lucas has decided is scientific fact, then Lucas, because Lucas can never be wrong, assumes the other person is wrong in being a bigot of some sort. And yeah, if Lucas were just like a run of the mill mentally ill homeless dude, I would feel bad for making fun of him. I mean, that's just leave him alone. But he's a fucking pedophile. He purposely aims at girls under 18, and yes, that's technically maybe not a pedophile, but he has aimed at girls as young as 15 and 14 before, and he does not see anything wrong with that. He absolutely would go younger if he thought he could get away with it. Lucas does not deserve your pity. He doesn't deserve your help. He doesn't deserve. Yes, and Lucas is one of the people that has, for all the people that social safety nets fail, Lucas is one where they have not failed him. Every time he has fallen to a point that would land most people in jail, at a hospital, or dead, he has had some government support that comes back to him, that picks him up, that gives him money, that gets him back into housing, that gets him back into treatment, that gets him back into, gives him every possible chance to succeed. And he fucks it up every time. Like Lucas is legitimately just a parasite. He's a parasite. He would be a parasite in a capitalist society. He would be a parasite in a communist society. He would be a paralyst in a socialist paradise. He would just be a parasite no matter where he was. That's it. He's a parasite. And he'll never see that in himself, of course. But yeah, what keeps me from feeling bad about him is just that he's into kids. And he admits he's into kids. And that's just, you lose your right to be treated with dignity once you admit you're into kids. You are fair game for anything when you admit you're into kids. Especially when you start talking about how you want a daughter because you like to be called daddy. Like, oh God, no, no, no. Get CPS preemptively involved. But yeah, there is absolutely nothing redeeming about Lucas. Like he's very good at making a pity party. There are some people who they mean well, like they don't want to believe what they've seen online because there can be biases there. I get it. You want to get your own facts. You maybe want to talk to the person who's the target and see what's going on. And Lucas very much does try to play the victim, but the problem is he can't hold that for long, and eventually they figure out what he is, um, either by watching the way he interacts with other people or by the way he interacts with them in DM. He tries and fails to play the victim all the time. There's nothing pitiable about him. If he were a rescue dog, he would be one of those dogs that even a no kill would put down due to severe behavioral issues and an inability to safely adopt him out. Also, he's not housebroken. He pisses in this thing. Who pisses in this thing? I get you had a communal bathroom at that place, but at least pause your stream when you go to piss in this thing. He's right. But he's perfectly hygienic and clean and can cook for you in the piss sink. But yeah, charity work with the EBT card when he leaves them cold Taco Bell and pieces of candy with notes about his sperm. Like if I woke up in the streets of Spokane to a bag of cold Taco Bell, I don't think I'd eat it. I would assume someone was fucking with me. And if somebody gave me a bag of candy that had notes about the giver's sperm telomerase, I would not eat the candy. I would assume it would be contaminated in one way or another. And then, yeah, I mean, and to be fair with his diabetes, it is type 2, which is usually not hereditary. Type 2 is typically lifestyle choice based. Type 1 is typically hereditary. His diabetes is because he doesn't take care of himself. He's been reported several times, but they honestly really don't care with as much other shit is going on. He's kind of like a small drop in the pond. But I kind of want to see him get a job so he loses his SSI, and then he'd really be fucked because he wouldn't be able to keep the job for very long, and he would have to reapply for disability. And he got fast tracked on disability back in the early 2000s. It ain't gonna happen again. Applying for disability now would be a bitch, and he would never get it back. It's just the worst. Like, and he's not even like at the moment he's not even funny either because he's drugged. He has to be. He has to take his meds like a big boy when he's in the nursing home, or he doesn't get to stay in the nursing home. Uh, my guess is he's probably going to wait till the weather gets warmer, and then he's going to walk from Malin Place, and we'll get Screamy Street Lucas back again. That should be fun. My phone, oh, my phone wants me to do the green owl. Yeah, not right now. But yeah, he also used to use his Provider One card to offer to buy Adderall and Percocet for underage girls. There's notes of that floating around. I think they're probably in the farms thread. I know I've got them up on my Facebook page. But he used to offer to use his medical card to buy perks and Adderall. But you'd have to fuck him to get them. So yeah, great dude. Not a dealer or anything. And there's always going to be well, he's actually I think he might be totally banned from House of Charity, but the trouble with House of Charity is they're a low barrier shelter, which means unless somebody actually gets like physically violent or verbally aggressive um, with the staff or with other, I want to say inmates, it's not a jail, with other residents there, you're not going to get kicked out. But Lucas had many complaints from like filming in the showers to just like verbally harassing people around him to harassing volunteers to harassing security. Um, yeah, he's just a nightmare. I can't imagine what it must have been like for Suzanne to have to live with him. I mean, she seemed to genuinely actually care for him, and I don't understand why. Maybe he was a lot happier when he was 400 pounds and on pot. Hey, would you two quit fighting over there? Do not make me get up and come over there. Yeah, the two boys are fighting a little loud over there. Lucas would have to figure out how to get the drugs. The only thing he can get is weed, and my guess is part of the. I mean, people use weed in that place all the time, but if he's being watched closely, he has to be careful of. Hey, hey, hey! Sorry, got cats being mean to each other. You are like 5 pounds bigger than him. Knock it off. Why is it always the male cats? Damn. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of homeless people do have issues, and I don't even like. I said this on the forums too. I don't even like lumping Lucas in with homeless people because most homeless people struggle with addiction or they struggle with mental illness that they can't afford to treat. And they get in a loop that they can't get out. They want to get out of it, but they get into this loop too where your mental illness and your drug addiction prevents you from getting a job, but not having a job means you don't have the money to get the treatment that you would need to get a job. And they just get stuck in a really vicious cycle. And if they can't find decent treatment that's very low cost or free, they don't have a very good chance. Lucas has been handed every possible chance to succeed, and he fucks it up every single time. And he does it voluntarily. He's not like, I'm mentally ill and I screwed up. He specifically plans it and he fucks it up. Like, Lucas does not deserve a social safety net. He deserves to be homeless. Like, he's one of the only people I can think of I would say deserves to be homeless. He's just he wouldn't go to Miami. That's way too far. LA was probably as far as you'd ever be able to get him to go. You might be able to lure him a little ways outside of Spokane, but probably not too far. Unless you video chatted with him first. I'd send him somewhere further north where the winters are worse. Up to like Bemidji or something. Remember when he wanted to learn Mandarin Chinese in community college while he was getting his PhD in age gap breeding? I wonder if he even took like a single class because he thought Mandarin looked easy and would be a great way to meet girls, certain kind of girls. I'm honestly surprised he hasn't tried learning Japanese to go the weeb route. He probably doesn't have a passport. So Malin Place is like if you look them up, they're a licensed nursing home assisted living facility, but they're a real shady one. They get really kind of awful reviews, and my guess is as long as Lucas doesn't actively cause problems for them, that they will be very happy to take the majority of his government check, and they don't care. Um, So as long as Lucas stays medicated and relatively docile, they're probably not going to have a problem with him. But he's not going to stay like that for long because he gets increasingly frustrated when he doesn't have his pocket money to go spend on shitty, overpriced restaurant food. Um, so I don't see that lasting for very long. Yeah, if he keeps and he if you noticed he stopped raging outside as well. Part of it might be because his one foot is still gimpy and he can't walk. But it's possible that the staff have talked to him about that they've seen those videos and have told him like, hey, you can't be acting like that around here. Um, he says he gets a little over like 750 a month, I think. And then Malin Place takes like 700, and he has like 56 left for his phone bill. His phone bill is extremely high. My phone bill is 25 bucks a month. So he's overpaying for his phone. Um, he says his phone bill is 56 a month, and then that leaves him with like 20 or $13, I think was the last he said, to last him an entire month, and then he just like goes and blows it on Twitter. But he could make a few little savings by ditching his phone plan. There's a lot of prepaid plans that start at 30 a month, and then the longer you stay on them, they go down. Like mine went from 35 to 25 after 9 months. Um, but yeah, um, and he doesn't get his EBT stuff anymore either because he's at a place that feeds him. So that's less money that he's getting because part of the fees for Malin places they get fed 3 times a day and they get snackies like the little kids there. But yeah, he's absolutely miserable there, and I love it. Totally, they could live in Malin Place. The rent would be covered. They'd have food. I just love how he thinks, and even when it's like even when he had money, like not even the $13 a month thing, but even when he had like that savings that he had that he couldn't touch because it was for like rent and shit. He's like, I have $1,200. I can support a child. I'm like, for what? A week? Like, do you? I don't think he has any concept of how money or math works, and that's why he thinks he could just get rid of money and everything would be fine. But he like legitimately thinks that $1,200 would be enough to take care of a baby. Like maybe if that was your biweekly paycheck, or maybe even your monthly if your partner made a little bit more. But yeah, he has no idea how expensive children are. I mean, you could probably save money if you did like cloth diapers, but that would probably turn into a fetish for Lucas or something, and he'd never wash them. He'd just probably like wipe them. Uh, I could not imagine the horrors he would inflict on a child, especially if he got a daughter. Actually, I know what he'd do if he got a daughter. So. Oh, well, he would need formula because he would get a perfect Gen Z girl with big old titties with lots of milk in them. Because the bigger they are, the more milk you make. That's what he thinks. Yeah, Lucas wouldn't do that. I don't think he knows how to do laundry. The last time we saw Lucas doing laundry, he threw all of his dirty clothes in a bathtub. So definitely not in the cards. Definitely not in the cards. Lucas has the titties to breastfeed an infant. I mean, they're big enough. Cat, no, what are you off the shelf, please? That's not for you to. Hold on. I have to get a cat off of my taxidermy shelf before she knocks an antlered rabbit off. None of that's for you. Here. No, that's my chair. Yeah, that's my chair. Yeah, thank you. Hi. Two of them are kittens. They sort of get in trouble. The old ones don't with the baby food. Oh, thank you for putting that in my face. That's what I wanted to see. No, the smallest one likes to try to climb the bookshelf. So I've got a bunch of skulls, feathers, and some taxidermy up there, and she likes to steal feathers. But I would also rather her not knock the taxidermy down because they're custom pieces. I don't want them to break. See you. Do not do that again. The fat orange one is just looking at me from the couch. Yeah, the e-bagging videos were kind of fun. It's one of those things that one part of me wishes like people would give him money to make those shitty videos, but on the other hand, I don't want anyone to give him money. Um, because I mean, he's just gonna blow. He's not saving. He's just gonna blow it on food anyway, so it's not like it's that big of a deal. But then he gets that fat, inflated ego head and thinks that he's worth money when he's not worth money at all. That's the voice acting thing. Yeah, that was me. So when he got back from LA, one of the I think it was the account of one of the few guys that he talked to. I think it was that one. But he was wondering what he could do for employment, and maybe it was one of the. No, it couldn't have been one of the guys. He wouldn't have listened to it if it was one of the guys. It was the one where he thinks that I am like this 22-year-old Zoomer who unfortunately lives several states away. But I told him he had such a lovely voice that he'd be amazing at voice acting. So that was my fault. Um, and it was funny because he definitely tried, and I got some good material for some intros there. Um, yeah, he's Oh, there's one of the Instagram accounts that I left up that I had wasn't even really a catfish. I was never planning on doing anything with it, but it was just kind of a show of how incredibly fast he turns manipulative and violent. And that account was the Owls Bathe and Butterbeer one. And he might come back and claim that, oh, you sent me nudes on that one. It's like, no, I sent you random nudes that I pulled off of Google Images, my dude. Um, but yeah, he would do things like, and this was just like casual conversation. Like I wasn't even pretending to be interested in dating him. And I had set it up as like, hey, I have roommates and I'm a full time college student, so I'm not always here. So I'm sorry if it takes me a while to reply. And like every time I wouldn't reply, I would get this like fuck ton of messages like, where are you? Where are you, baby? Where are you? Where are you? Are you ignoring me? Oh, you're ignoring me now, right? And I'm like, no, dude, I was at class. And he was like, I was like, well, what are you doing? Are you hanging out with your roomies? What are you doing tonight? I'm like, well, we're just gonna watch some Netflix and chill. And he's like, oh, what are you watching? And I gave him some random name, and then I went quiet, didn't answer him for a little bit, and he got pissed again. It's like, hey, dude, I told you I was watching a movie. I'm not at your beck and call here. Is this what you'd be like if we were dating? Because this is really scary and controlling. He lost his fucking mind. Started calling me a bitch. My parents are rich. You don't know what you're missing out on, and you're just a cunt. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. But yeah, I still have that account up, and I actually took that account because the name was neat, but it was the woman who had it before was the Trigglypuff. If you remember Trigglypuff, that was her original Instagram account, and I just liked the name, so I took it. Um, but yeah, those screenshots are still up there, showing exactly what he's like in there. He claims they're fake, of course, but they're fucking not fake. I still have the actual DMs that I can open and show them. Uh, but yeah, he's I don't even think he could hold up being nice in public, honestly, for too long. Something would trip him off and he would lose his mind. But he is in every single DM that's been leaked for people, or every single thing that's come out for chat transcripts or like even recordings or whatnot. He gets extremely possessive, extremely manipulative, and extremely jealous out the gate. With that 17-year-old, that's the video on my channel. Um, he starts talking to her about how they need to date now and COVID's not an issue. We're in the second wave. It's totally safe. And, you need to sneak out and meet me. We need to meet right now. And then she would get notifications on her phone of, tell me you love me. Tell me you love me. Tell me you can't live without me. And it's like, she is 17 and you're 41. Oh, what are you knocking down in there? Don't make me get up. Okay. Something's being knocked over. I bet it's the potatoes. That one cat's got an obsession with the bag of potatoes. But yeah, no, he gets if he ever actually did get someone, you have to cut off your finger. If he ever actually did get someone that agreed to date him, he would be verbally, mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive to her. No question. There is no question. No part about him is a kind person. He is. If he weren't so inept and so physically out of shape and so dim, he would be dangerous. And the only thing that makes him funny over dangerous is the fact that he's too incompetent to actually catch somebody. Um, but yeah, he's I mean he's a predator. He's a bad predator. He's not very good at it, but he would absolutely be dangerous if he got somewhere alone with no witnesses with a young woman. He would absolutely assault her. I'm just glad he's too fat and lumbering and stupid to actually do it. How long have I been talking here? I don't even know. See, and that's the kind of thing that I would worry about is he would find somebody who's got something mentally going on either on the autism spectrum or has a mental illness that's not treated. BPD could be fun to hook up with Lucas. That'd probably kill him. Um, but if he found somebody who was really depressed, who didn't have a support system, who was homeless, who was autistic, mentally ill, anything like that, and she didn't bother to look up who he was or didn't think to look up who he was, he would be an incredible danger to her. Thankfully, most of the homeless population in Spokane knows who he is and what he is. That's mostly why they avoid him. And there's enough people on the internet that if he ever noticed, like at all, that he was potentially with someone, they would find her and pull her away from him. The only girl he could potentially get would be one who is lacking the cognitive ability to see what kind of a danger he is. And I'm not even talking about like a fix me girl. I mean, you get a lot of women that, and you get a lot of men that do it too, that will find a busted up house like Lucas and go, "Oh, I can fix him. He just needs some love and kind." No, girl, you can't. Um, and someone like that, I'd argue there's some mental illness at play there for the people who need to fix broken people who can't fix themselves. It's one thing to support somebody while they're trying to get their life back on track, and it's another thing to I can fix him. He would, yeah, no. If Lucas got a hold of somebody who did not have the cognitive ability or the social awareness ability to find out who he is and what he is, or to look at everything on the internet that explains and shows what he is, if he didn't kill her, he would spend his life basically keeping her isolated just to assault her over and over again. He would be extremely dangerous. Yeah, and now he's saying he doesn't want kids because he doesn't want to add to overpopulation, which is anyway. But yeah, no, he's one of those ones that he's a funny risk for now because he's too stupid and too tied up right now to be able to do anything. But I would actually be worried for somebody if he managed to get a girlfriend, even if it was somebody who was just trolling him to like fuck with him, but showed up and was dumb enough to go somewhere alone with him without witnesses. That would be dangerous. He's one of those cows that if you're gonna poke it, you poke it with a real long stick, and make sure it can't grab you. Because he would absolutely be dangerous. I mean, he might actually just cry, depending on his view, but more than likely he would cry while he was strangling you. Yeah, I've seen Von Helton before. He's a piece of fucking work. And then Shanny and Rev, those two, how did CPS not figure out that those two need their kids removed? That is a train wreck too. Like to put those, you know, putting Shanny, Rev, and Lucas on a live stream together would probably be hilarious. Oh, and Lucas for a while was going after Foodie Beauty, just in memes, not in videos. Like Fatty has any room to talk about how somebody else is eating. That's your Manic King. That was so stupid. He was doing like the crawling on the ground with the claw hand thing with that. God, that was. And then the two companies like Werner Sausage and Werner Trucking like actually made statements saying that they weren't related to him. because he was implying that he was really. And Werner is a really common name. I mean, it's not an uncommon name like at all. Do not fall over. Your legs are out. Oh, they're just out in the wrong way. Not my legs, the mic stand's legs. I'm tired of it. It's a cheap little $30 mic. What do you? Yeah, he thought he was with Isaac. He thought he was manipulating Isaac, and I always just kind of wondered. And this was another one that I would ask him, like Lucas, how is this guy your friend? You know, he treats you like shit. He doesn't pay any attention to you when you're talking, and he only comes to you when he wants free weed or free booze because he's not old enough to buy it, and you buy it, and he promises you he'll take you to a party or that he'll introduce you to girls or some shit, and then he just ditches you, man. How is this guy your friend? Oh, he's just playing around. Like, no, you're an idiot, and he's using you, which Isaac also stole. Well, maybe his brother did, but yeah, isn't that just the dream date? Date the hobo for a year, and he'll surprise his parents by bringing you down to visit. Just what, just what I'd want if I was Lucas's mom. My hobo son turning up with an 18-year-old for a surprise visit. That's no, that would be awful. Oh no. Oh, nobody's been able to find him. I know Golden USB tried, and they were going to offer him food or something. And I can't remember if the Geek Room tried or not. But Isaac doesn't have a phone of his own, and he doesn't really have any interest in being associated with Lucas, more or less. They're basically, I mean, they're clearly just using Lucas, and they're street kids. I mean, and Lucas is a dumbass. And then, yeah, I've been trying to get Goldo or what Goldo guy sounds like Lucas now. Goldo or to release the other episodes of Golden USD because they were actually kind of funny. He gave me the final one, and he gave me the clip where Lucas was getting bounced in the park by the cop. He still has all the other episodes; they're just marked private. And the last time I talked to him, he just said he wasn't interested in having them out there because he didn't want his name associated with or probably very. Yeah, I think it'd be funny if somebody could talk Lucas into doing an OnlyFans. just, and just hear me out on the OnlyFans thing because there's a fetish for everybody on OnlyFans, and he would probably find an audience there that would pay him to look at his little belly button and nasty sores on his feet. I mean, he could go to OnlyFans and find a fetish group that would want a fat, bruised up, balding, leathery hobo with a small dick. Might actually make some money doing that if he can market himself, which he probably couldn't. But that would probably be his better chance of making money. I I just be upfront. I would not watch it, not even out of curiosity. I did his Patreon just to see what he had hidden. There was just a bunch of unlisted videos before shit. But I would absolutely not even peek at an OnlyFans for Lucas. But he could probably make money doing it with some niche crowd. Wouldn't want to meet that crowd either. God, there's still people here. What's wrong with y'all? This can't be that entertaining. I don't want to see Lucas in any more hoodies that let his little gut pop out through the bottom. He needs to go back up to his 5XL. He's put on that much weight. You know, he could show like pictures of it. He could take pictures of his feet and sell those to like foot fetishes. Some people have that weird, your feet are falling apart from diabetes. Not for my check for that. I don't think he'd like any of those methods. Yeah, I wonder if I should hit him up on one of my Instagram accounts. Hey, they're live and talking about you. Actually, I should probably see if he's actually. Oh, my spatial awareness is not covered. When he made his latest one, he messaged me just to call me a bitch, which I thought was pretty great. I mean, like I really lived that free head. Somebody has blocked me. Hold up. Definitely didn't know what the name is called. Really not in the cards, man. Oh, he's supposed to be cards. Coming out that one. I I'm definitely getting a ban for that because I ended it with join the chat, Daddy. I doubt he will. I'm sure I'll be blocked in like 5 seconds. Definitely active right now. Check my other window. What go feeling the word? I mean, I doubt he's gonna show up. He's probably just gonna be controlling, which I am. Because I could watch the purpose. Yeah, I like sincerely doubt that this is going to show up, but it would be fun if he did. Gonna have little nubbies if he doesn't keep taking care of his feet. One of my uncles at the time he died had like one big toe left, and like the rest of his foot, almost back to his ankle, was just like gone. Diabetes. Really can't hear me when I turn to look at the other screen. I'm very good at this. this is like I don't. I'm gonna sound all like SJW here, but I don't like to body shame people in general. Like body is what it is, you know. But he like actively doesn't take care of it. Oh God, those videos of him talking about fisting, like man, this arm. Like, that's I don't care that your arms are skinny, dude. That's not. First of all, how you get someone pregnant that way? You're just gonna take a handful of it and shove it up there? Name of it anymore. I never want out of it. You know what? I'm an idiot. My phone is right next to me, and it has Instagram on it. I'm I'm smart. I'm technologically smart. Oh yeah, because I keep like wandering away from the mic because I set it down. I told you I was bad at this. Let's see. What is King Daddy telling her? He's deleted that comment already. Oh, God, he's posting card games again. Oh, he hasn't deleted the comment yet. That's cool. I can't tell you what I'd get a message him about because otherwise, you know, he'll figure out who I am. So we can't do that. Yeah, because I keep moving around like the spaz I am. Getting late and Adderall's wearing off. Let's see. We'll just get my shit together. I wish. If I get my shit together, my living room wouldn't be a disaster and there wouldn't be a cat trying to scale a wall in the other room. Just like Jesus. Normally, if I try to get his attention, it's with something innocuous or about something that he's doing. And something just fell in the kitchen, so I am gonna just go see what that was because it sounded like glass. I will be right back. No, I left a butter dish on the counter, and one of the cats was trying to eat the last bits of butter out of it and knocked it on the floor. It didn't break. Troublemaking monster of a cat. Maybe I'll just pick the mic back up so I don't like. It's not a clip-on mic. It's just like a cheap little tripod mic that was like $30 on Amazon. Or was I? Oh yeah, talking to Lucas and did you get well? Hmm. And sometimes I wish I could talk about what we were actually talking about in DMs, but I would totally out myself. And he's not bright, but he's typically bright enough to pick out. So months ago when he was on the Korean kick, um, I'm careful not to mention things in on the farms that he's mentioned to me in DMs until I see somebody else mention them on the farms, because that's somebody else who Lucas is clearly talking to, right? And he can, knock them out of his friend circle for that. So I remember when that stuff all got posted, um, he messaged me and he's like, "How did you know about my Korean girlfriend?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, man? You told me about that 2 days ago." He's like, "Well, it's on Kiwi Farms. How does Kiwi Farms know about it?" I'm like, "Well, did you tell anybody else? Because I haven't posted anything to Kiwi Farms. I don't even have an account there, man." And he's like, "Wait, I think I know who did it. The bitch, I'm gonna cut her off." And it's like, and in that case, I actually was not lying to him. I didn't post it there. It was somebody else. Um, so yeah, I'm really, really careful that unless I see him post something publicly that matches up with the DM that he sent me, I won't post it on farms. Because he's stupid, but he's not that stupid. He usually does figure that kind of thing out. He does read that thread regardless of what he says. Um, but yeah, he was into the Koreans for a while. Let's see what he's got to say now. He cannot type tonight, apparently. What the hell are you doing to me, autocorrect? This is not English. You're making me type like Lucas. What I get for trying to type with my left hand, apparently. I wouldn't say he's into K-pop. He's into that fetish thing that Asian women are demure and sweet and submissive and will do whatever he wants. That should be interesting. Oh, he is super racist. He is super racist. Like calling him racist does it doesn't do it justice. He is not only racist, but he's like super misogynistic as well. He used to post a lot of memes about how Japan's age of consent was 13 and they have good public transportation. Like there was a correlation between allegedly being able to fuck a 13-year-old and having good public transportation. Just, ugh. Yeah, and try to tell him that though, he's not going to believe you. He's like, nope, it's 13. That's 13. He's like it's the closest he gets to being a weeb. I don't think he's actually into anime or anything like that. Oh, my phone just went on do not disturb. Basically, yeah, he's even got the same pube beard. Like, have you seen his beard? It looks like a glued on pubes. Fucking idiots had a podcast where they've been mocking me for a couple of days, and I DM'd the Joker. I didn't see that one. Oh, I have to play dumb now. Excuse me. So apparently, some anti-vaxxers tried to get him to join something. When Lucas shows his bald spot, it just gets it's so give up, man. Just give up and shave it. Give up and shave it. I mean, I'm sure he'd look weird as hell with bald head, but that stringy, nasty. Ugh, this bald spot just freaks me out. I don't like it. Hi. How's it going? Please, you don't have to rub the mic. That is a cat rubbing the mic. If that's what you're hearing, I took my headphones off. Um, Hi, you big tub. Did you not do that right now? Okay, okay. The cat that's on me now is like a 16-pound behemoth. So he's thinking that like this is an anti-vax stream. So like he legit thinks this is an anti-vax Republican stream. You're blocking my screen. I'm surprised he didn't actually have a MySpace page. I wonder if he did have a MySpace page. That would have been creepy. So he pretty much thinks we're gonna give him COVID, so he doesn't want to come in here apparently because we're all anti-vax Republican. I guess I sure Lucas whatever. We can fuck our own mothers. He's still typing. I would imagine after getting away from Lucas, she's probably doing way, way, way better. I mean, she cut contact with him pretty hard. Yeah, Lucas did have COVID. He got stuck up in a hotel for like 2 weeks when he had COVID. It'd be funny to get him in here and ask him about this Starbucks. Go full on fuck off. So his logic here is that the stream is for anti-vaxxers who are always conservatives and always Republican and are the enemy. If I come in here on a different account, it's for a very, very good reason. No, I don't. His whole family seems like just fucking insane. I don't really want to get involved with any of them. They've all got a few screws loose. Matt, if the dog is not allowed to dig on the couch, neither are you. What are you doing? Why are you like this? Okay, so I'm gonna check out the stream. Okay, so I'm gonna hop over to a different computer. There's a particular YouTube account that he knows is me because I helped him walk him through turning his comments off and all kinds of shit. So keep your damn mouth shut if you see it. Uh, you know, here and check out my wait hear myself in the speakers. Oh, I don't like that at all. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and mute those. All right, cool. I am in the chat. All right, let's see here. Make sure I actually show up. I'm gonna just do a quick hello in there. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of hang out here and watch the chat, and maybe I'll go back up to his political party stuff so we can be talking about his political party stuff. There you are. All right, so we're going over for purposes of this. We're going over his localist party stuff. Totally politics. Actually, you know what? Maybe he wants to talk about the assembly. Maybe he'd want to talk about the assembly, and we can laugh at him over that one. So, in a few minutes, I will give him a little text back, and then we'll be quiet about that happening because we don't want to ruin things more fun. But I will get back to the assembly part of it. I should have made dinner like 3 hours ago. Back a little when I didn't know what this mom. When I didn't know I was pregnant. What, Lucas? There's the assembly. You know, it would actually be kind of fun if you would want to come in here and discuss the assembly. And I would, if he does, don't fuck with him on this. I legitimately want to know his thought process on this because it'll make it fucking funnier. Uh, so be nice to the German lord, miladies, if he actually comes in, which I doubt he will. But oh, this will be a matter of whether we catch him on a well medicated night or a night when he's bored as shit and wants to do something. Oh God, he's liking pictures on my Instagram again. What did he like? Oh, just the Star Trek thing. Okay, that's acceptable. I hate it when he likes. I hate it when he likes my selfies. I mean, they're not my selfies. They're just like pictures of somebody that I steal from like page 10 of Google Images. But I hate it when he likes them. He creeps on me with them. I don't like it. So back to the DM. See if he has anything to say. Oh, just All right, one more thing here. Y'all, if any of this does work, we're confused about the assembly and need Master Lucas to explain why it would work. It's gonna have to be in chat because I'm not setting up Skype or any kind of bullshit with him to let him talk. I want to hear his voice. His voice really annoys the shit out of me. Resi hasn't sent me more board game shit tonight. Yeah. It's curiosity, but I don't know if it's actually right. Mouse cursor is very tiny on one screen and very not on the other screen. Did I just accidentally kick my other account out? Oh well. You know, we're morons because we don't understand his assembly. But he has different views now. Apparently, no, like, hunting people for sport, I guess. You hear bells, that's the bird. Apparently, I can't type and talk at the same time. I don't know if he ever went with Viking. I know he was Germanic king for a while, and then farmers, then millionaires, and I don't know. God knows what. It's getting closer to a lure. He's like, I get 5 seconds in before I started calling them names. There's no point interacting with rubbish. But why? What if they were being respectful? Listen, if he comes in here, don't fuck with him. Just ask him questions that seem legit about this assembly bullshit. Laugh in the back. I don't even know who's in there. can't remember Bluth. Does he still think like you're into him, or has he figured out you're a troll? Oh, we deserve no clout. I cannot type with my left hand. Jesus. My God. My brain can do exactly one thing at a time, apparently. I was telling him we were discussing it earlier, the pros and cons of his assembly thing. So obviously the chat's not going to match up with that right now. But I scrolled up, you know. Sometimes it's easy to lure in, sometimes it's not. Lucas can't type for shit anyway. But yeah, sometimes he's easier to lure out than not. Pride and ability to show. Does this sound in my ear? Completely inappropriate for her to be cleaning her face right next to my ear. Whenever I see this line of you can't just vote to make it illegal for white people to listen to rap or black people to be given a free car, I just think of like an Oprah. I don't know why. Oh, he's boring at typing something really, really long. Like really, really. He's either typing something really, really long or he's typing and deleting and typing and deleting and typing and deleting. See, and now I don't want to get too much into like shit talking him in case he actually does come in unannounced. uh, I'm not even going to turn the sound down on this. Just if you could pick up with that stuff. Like he can't even stick with a game design. Like he paid like $75 to have that Squonk game prototype. And then when nobody in the group home was like instantly wanting to play it with him, he just like forgot about it and he's working on having another thing prototype. I don't even like I can't even say he's frustrating because he's not frustrating and he's not even baffling because you just sort of know what he is. He's just dumb as shit. And it's so infuriating that people who could benefit from the services that Lucas gets that he absolutely does not deserve. There are people out there that could actually benefit from his space in Malin Place who are just relatively decent people who just actually need extra help. Lucas is just such a trash pile of a person. He also looks like he's about 65. His hair is getting significantly thinner. And I'm getting tired of looking at him, and I'm also just kind of getting tired because it's like 12:30 where I am. And I gotta get up at 6 with a dog. That doesn't sound great. I also have to do something for dinner. I completely spaced on that. Yeah, the hair is just every few months it goes further and further back and gets grayer and grayer and thinner and thinner. And it's just at some point, man, you gotta give it up. At some point, man, you gotta give it up because we're not attracted to the honeys at all with that bull. You'll find women who are into like bald men or balding men, but you generally don't find women who are into got stringy hair hanging out men. Tell me you don't know about the government of China without telling me you don't know about the government of China, Lucas. Yeah. Like, why does he make these faces? Like, who? Okay, everybody uploads a bad selfie every now and then, right? Like, but Lucas goes out of his way. I swear to God, he goes out of his way to make the most unappealing faces, and then looks at it and goes, "Yeah, this is the one. This is the one that's gonna get him." But like here, look at these comments over here. So these are things where Lucas cannot tell he's being trolled. He did have a TikTok at one point, but he never used it because he couldn't figure out how it worked. But like Wee Wee Stomper is constantly trolling him. That's a troll. That's a troll. 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 This one's definitely a troll, and you can tell when they're a troll because they talk to him like his ideas are like this grand, amazing thing that nobody's ever thought of before, and he's so delusional and so far into his ego that he believes it, and he doesn't. And on a couple of my accounts, I kind of do the mom friend thing. I'm like, hey, I know that you want friends, but do you not think these people are maybe just like making fun of you or using you or and guess how many times I'm right, like 100%. Oh God, if Lucas could were so I play around on TikTok mostly, just I kind of watch dog training stuff and whatnot. But if Lucas got onto TikTok and started following profiles of young women and young girls, he would get blasted off that platform faster than FetLife kicked him out. And they would be not as nice as FetLife. He would get, I mean, he's doxed himself, to be fair. He would get his address put out there, his name put out there. People would legit probably start stalking him to beat his ass for going after children. So maybe he should get on TikTok. Maybe he should go on TikTok. That seems like a good place for him. It's like a really good place for Lucas to go. He would deserve what he would get there. So yeah, he stopped responding. So I don't think he's going to come and talk about his junk. I bet he comes and watches the stream later. But oh well. But yeah, he would get run off of TikTok so fast, and it would honestly be funny to see. I don't remember if he still has the account, but he had the account a few years ago, and he couldn't really figure out how it worked. Like he didn't get it because he never really got Vine either, and I never really got Vine either. But TikTok's interesting enough. But yeah, he's. I don't think he'll join TikTok again. Um, One of my accounts was asking, it's like, hey, a lot of Gen Z hang out on TikTok. You should get an account. So we can brush that off. Oh, I'm sure he will. And I'm sure he'll try to figure out who I am. And he won't figure it out. I mean, if he does whatever, I heard wake up at 3 in the morning with 50 messages about board games. Like, Oh, do you want me to send you a copy of? No, I don't. I don't want you having my address. I don't want you knowing where I live. I don't want you knowing my real name. I don't. I don't want you knowing anything about. Oh, I wonder if I could find. Oh no, I have to dig through. It's getting way too late. I have some screen caps of some of the DMs in a different Discord server, but I'm getting really fucking tired because it's very late and I've been up since 5:30. Um, this is not the last thing I want to see before I go to bed. I find something less. Oh, that's worse. That's worse. Worse. Not Lucas, but better. Nope. That doesn't have a face. Okay, that's not gonna be. So yeah, I wonder if he's gonna start doing any more shout outs. I mean, he clearly has shown that he's a complete whore because he did a $5 shout out for somebody he doesn't like. He thinks he won in that situation. Um, I don't think he did, but when you're Lucas, you take what you can get. And yeah, I'm probably gonna go have a drink and sleep. See if I can get the mental images of those faces Lucas is making out of my fucking head. Oh my, he's so like. If he had a decent personality, I would overlook his looks. I mean, it's objectively mean to make fun of someone for how they look. He can't help most of how he looks, but he's got such a bad personality and he wants to diddle kids. So I have no problem calling him a tub of lard and an ugly, wrinkly, leathery piece of it because he is. Someone should send him a trilby and tell him it's the fedora and that the Gen Z chicks love it. He probably wouldn't get the joke, but it was totally. What do you think he used to smooth him out so much? He was hoping to make himself look younger, but get him out in the sun, he's all crispy. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go because I'm really, really tired, and I meant to make dinner like 4 hours ago and didn't. So I'm tired and hungry. And unlike Lucas, I get to sleep in my own house in my own bedroom without a roommate and without nurses coming in to wake me up for pre-made breakfast. So I'm gonna enjoy that. I'd ask him if he's going out New Year's Eve, but he's not. He's afraid of the whatever COVID thing is always. But yeah, here's to Lucas having another sexless year. Um, I mean, you don't really have to wish that. He just his personality brings it on himself. So yeah, I this is why I don't do lives because I cannot stay on topic for anything. I just fucking ramble. My mind goes off. And we get this cats and yeah. So cool. Thanks for sticking around while I bitched about everything I hate about this. And hopefully I know how to stop this thing. It's got a button that straight up says stop streaming, so I assume that's the one. Oh, he did his roommate move out? Because he had a roommate he said that I think had Parkinson's. Um, but I could not imagine like my life being in the state where I had to go into a nursing home before I was elderly, and my roommate was Lucas. I would no, I would choose homelessness, or I would choose going back to the hospital, or I would choose just like curling up in the street to die. There is no way. Nobody should be. They should put him in a single because nobody should be forced to live with him. Such a disgusting person. Anyway, on that note, I'm gonna go. So see y'all whenever I get bored enough to do this again.